ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event, Mark's Podcast, now on the Unhinged Sports Network. I am your first host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, and current cat dad, Troy. And with me, as always, is the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia, the main event collector, and the Vader to my Jim Cornette.
Mother. He's Greg. What's up, Greg?
I'm a heel.
Came out of a big box from Rocky Mountain box.
No, he no longer believes if you came out of a box, you're over.
Oh, when did he say that?
When Chris Statlander came out of a box and no one gave a damn.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I forgot. I saw that clip and I was like, oh man, she's gonna be over. I mean, according to Corny, right?
I had to retract my statement. People that come out of a box are not instantly over anymore.
Should have retracted that crap like way back when he said it.
Right. Or you just don't say it.
Yeah, right. I like how Bruce Pritchard was the one that blew the top off that box and let us all know. It's like, yeah, Cornette thinks that if you come out of a box, you're over. That's why we did it with Chainsaw Charlie. I'm like, what the F? Like, that's such a random thought.
I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, people blow the roof off for people when they come out of a box, but that doesn't mean you're over. It's just a pop.
Last week, if any of you listened, we covered a not-so-good show. Don't worry, our podcast was much better and contained much more interesting information. But last week, we covered Great American Bash 1991 for the 30-year anniversary, or coming up on the 30-year anniversary in July, I guess. But the show comedically sucked, and sometimes those are some of our best podcasts. So I hope you all enjoyed it. We always get positive feedback on those ones. I've heard people say I had no interest in that show, and then I listened to your podcast, and I loved it. So that's some of the best compliments we can get.
Take what I can get.
Yeah, right. Man, high school flashback. Anyway, but this one's actual like good stuff. Like we're covering a historically.
This is one of my all-time favorite pay-per-views. I'm not going to say it's one of the best, but it's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, it's a historic pay-per-view. It's actually really good. I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, can you believe like top to bottom that card was so damn great? But it did have a lot of good stuff on here, and it was memorable and historic. So that's and not in a bad way, where it's like, man, do you remember when like now in the archives? Do you remember when RoboCop came out to save Sting? Like that stuff was memorable and historic, and it sucked.
I think that's a real thing that people don't realize. Memorable, historic, and all that is susceptible to your definition.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this may not have been the greatest night in the history of our great sport, but it was a great show. I'll say that.
It was one of the most historic nights in the history of our great sport.
Absolutely, and we'll dive into all that here in just a moment. Before we dive into the news and notes, I do want to let you know that we are sponsored by Fubo TV and Fanatics. Links are down in the podcast description. And please subscribe and leave a review. Be like good old Uncle Dave with a Ric Flair match. Give it 5 stars. It'll help us get seen. And
as usual, by the way, if you are in the Japan area, you can leave a 7-star review. So there you go.
Like I said, I heard that Dave Meltzer is reaching out to Apple Podcasts as we speak and lobbying them. That's like, hey, in the Japanese market, let them do 7 stars. Just let it be a Kenny Omega rating. So we'll get in on all of that on the ground floor of it if you're over there, or use a VPN to do that. But we're going to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we're diving into the news and notes.
Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector. Get all the best podcast swag from the Main Event Marks. Our merch shop offers custom graphics, including the podcast logo, on hats, shirts, masks, greeting cards, and more. There are tons of new designs, with more dropping all the time. Just head on over to redbubble.com/people/Main Event Marks to grab your podcast merch today and become an official Main Event Mark. That's redbubble.com/people/Main Event Marks. Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Now back to the show.
And we're back! So it's time to dive into the news and notes. Before we do, real quick, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. There we go. Oddly enough, like the last 2 times I've actually like had a beer while drinking, or while, you know, covering the podcast or whatever, it's been for good shows, not ones that I have to get liquored up for. So, but I'd take that for what it is. This first one, dude. Right. Although I'm not drinking Coors. This first story, man. WWF filed a lawsuit and restraining order request against Turner Broadcasting, WCW, and Eric Bischoff this week over the angle. Right. I wonder what happened during this time. But it was over the angle involving Kevin Nash and Scott Hall invading WCW. There are 4 counts to the lawsuit. The first is unfair competition under the Lanham Act, whatever that is, which basically says that WCW...
Oh, yeah, you know, that's that one.
Yeah, the one act by that Lanham person. Yeah, anyway. It basically says that WCW has falsely and deceptively tried to confuse viewers into believing WWF is affiliated with or involved in an interpromotional angle with WCW. The second, trademark and trade dress infringement and false designation or origin. Lord, that's a mouthful. Which is basically...
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, right? Which is basically WWF claiming that they have the rights to Scott Hall acting like Razor Ramon. The third is another unfair practices claim, citing WCW privately spreading false rumors that WWF is facing bankruptcy or having money problems in order to encourage wrestlers to leave. Well, I mean, I don't know if they were falsely spreading that stuff, but, I mean, it's not like they were doing gangbusters business at this time.
I don't think 96 was a bankrupt year, though. That was 95.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But, I mean, they were still... I mean, I think they were doing okay, but you remember in 97, one of the things with Brett is they said they didn't have enough money to be able to financially fulfill that contract he signed. So
they just held on for a while longer.
I know. It's like if you would have stuck it out for like 3 more years, man, like you would have been rolling in. Not even that long. You'd have been rolling in the dough. But the final count
might even got more, by the way.
Yeah. But the final count is a defamation and libel charge stemming from the February 5th episode of Nitro when the lights went out and Eric Bischoff, on commentary, implied that WWF was responsible for the power outage. The lawsuit is asking that Turner and WCW forfeit all profits earned from the Hall-Nash angle and to pay punitive damages and attorney fees.
Oh, my God.
Talk about overshooting.
That light one is, like, clearly a joke. So.
That was hilarious. But, yeah, they were not playing around. Like, seriously? Oh, well, forfeit over all profits earned from the Hall-Nash angle. Okay, how can you, like, prove money you earned was specifically from Hall and Nash? Unless you're talking about merchandise.
I'm just going to say they're, what's the word I'm looking for? Commercials, the advertising revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose...
Again, I'm just guessing, but...
Yeah, but it's like you have to specifically prove these wrestlers drew this much money or, you know, did this, so therefore we made that. That's like impossible to prove. Like, you talk about overreaching.
Guesstimate, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's freaking stupid. Like, WWF was really reaching with this one. I'll say that. And I mean, they did have to make some overtures, which, you know, we'll talk about here in a second because the story continues. But that stuff, like, wow. I will admit, you know, obviously Scott Hall came in doing some of the Razor stuff. You know, I think didn't he start off like saying Chico?
I
can't remember.
He comes in. He said, I think he starts off with "You people know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." But he did do the carve you up thing with the toothpick, so that was not too subtle.
Yeah, that one was the one I was like, okay, I get that one. The other stuff, I don't know. But the restraining order request also asks that WCW be prohibited from insinuating that WWF is involved with the angle in any way or from using any of WWF's trademark names or dress that would confused viewers, no references to Razor Ramon or the bad guy, and no presenting Scott Hall as Hispanic, using the accent, the toothpick, etc.
He never stopped using the toothpick, but...
Yeah, that... And, again, I think that one goes back to he had the toothpick as the diamond stud, so that wasn't new.
I will say this, I know I was only 12, but it confused me. I thought they were with the WWE, so it's not like it's far-fetched, but... Because they never use their names on TV, if you noticed. Well, you probably didn't see it, but yeah, they never used their names.
Right.
And in subsequent years, Kevin Sullivan's basically said it was his idea. So.
Well, Eric Bischoff was saying that from the get-go, he wanted them to be known as Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, like he had no other name ideas for them, because I did read something in the Observer around this time where they were saying, well, they're probably going to debut as it was complete rip-off names of Razor and Diesel. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head now, but it was the equivalent of when Earthquake became Avalanche, that kind of stuff. And
they didn't learn their lesson then?
Yeah, well, keep in mind this was Uncle Dave reporting this garbage, so I don't believe it. According to Eric Bischoff, he said, no, I wanted them to use their real names and be real people. But the same is in the case for Kevin Nash. No references to Diesel or Big Daddy Cool, no black leather pants and black glove, etc. Well, he never stopped wearing the black leather pants.
There is no patent on a black glove.
I know.
And if there is, it belongs to Sean Spears.
Wow. No, Greg, he got rid of the glove and he got chairs now.
Yeah, because that's better.
Yeah, well, how has L.A. Park not sued him for gimmick infringement yet? But the request also asks that WCW not be allowed to show any clips of Hall and Nash's previous WCW appearances in advertising. Okay, how can you stop a company from using their own footage of guys they now employ?
I don't know, but here's my thing. Why would they want to show that crap?
Yeah,
I'm Scott Hall or Kevin Nash. I don't want them to show that. I want it to be forgotten. So I'm going along with that one. Yeah, fine, whatever.
I mean, if you're going off of what Bischoff said, his idea for the gimmick was, I could see, because his whole thing is he's like, well, they were buried the first time they were there and never given a chance, and now they're back to, prove that they're big time. It's like, okay, maybe. But I don't think that ever crossed their mind where it's like, hey, man, dig up some of that old Vinny Vegas footage. Give me some old Diamond Stud.
I'm pretty sure even the money-grubbing Nash is fine letting that die.
Right. He's like, what? Me? Nope. I was never Master Blaster. But check this out. These requests from the WWF are just getting... And this isn't Dave reporting this. This is actual from the legal documents. So this is this is real. But best of all, on every Nitro from now until the Bash of the Beach pay-per-view, WWF lawyers request that WCW announcers give the following statement 3 times per episode of Nitro. This is just, my gosh. Okay.
Good Lord, you can't even get it out. It's not good.
It's just so terrible. Okay, here's the statement they want 3 times per Nitro. Quote, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are both under contract to WCW, and all of their actions since May 27th, 1996 have been at the direction of WCW. Any statements made by us or suggestion made by us that Hall or Nash are affiliated with the WWF were false and misleading. The WWF was not and has not been in any way affiliated with the portrayal of Hall and Nash since May 27th, 1996, and there will not be any matches between WWF wrestlers and WCW wrestlers on Nitro or any of our shows or on any of our pay-per-views.
Until July of 2001. Sorry, go on.
Right. Any statement or suggestion to that effect by WCW and TBS personnel was false. If you wish to view WWF wrestlers, you should watch the WWF's programs, including Monday Night Raw, which airs on the USA Network Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so from that, by the way, I just got that they snuck in a cheap plug in their legal document. So
yep.
You got to kind of respect that. That's funny.
Well, I like how they're like, legally, you have to plug our show. Legally, you can suck my ass. I've heard WWF has great lawyers, and I guess, they did settle with most of the stuff, obviously, but... Okay, well, yeah. But this is just, like, seriously? Who thought that this would ever go over well? Like, no judge in the world.
I don't know the excuse either because they weren't yet getting their asses handed to them weekly. Oh, that hasn't started yet. So I don't know.
Not weekly, but it was I think they were trading victories, right?
Yeah, like weekly they weren't like losing.
Right. Well, I feel like, it's Vince McMahon's thing of it's like before they get too big, kick them in the nuts. You know, so I mean, dirty pool is the only pool they play, man. So, but I can't see where anybody saw this and was like they had to have been laughing their asses off while typing this out and then handing it to a judge. Like, can you imagine? But further on to finish this out, WCW and WWF lawyers appeared before a judge to make arguments in the case, but the judge is currently in the midst of a major organized crime drug case and said that he doesn't have time to devote to the case at the moment, but that when the organized crime trial finishes up, he'll take the hearings on the case. However, by that time, the Bash of the Beach pay-per-view will have already taken place, so this is a major win for WCW. What? What do you mean? He's doing an organized drug crime case? Like, what the hell? This is wrestling, damn it. You put that silly stuff aside for this.
Yeah. I don't know why you're saying it sarcastically.
Oh, man. I like that. I bet you like WWF lawyers tried to do that too. It's like, hey, whatever, drugs. We got copyright infringement on a wrestling show, all right? Like, hurry your ass up.
Wow.
And I had to sneak this one in here because this is effing hilarious. And I know you'll get a kick out of it, and you and I have heard this stuff before. It's all according to Uncle Dave, which means the story is completely fabricated. The identity of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's third man is being kept super secret.
It's got to be Mabel.
Well, the original plan was Lex Luger, but that probably isn't happening now. Hall, Nash, and Eric Bischoff have been discussing names, and currently the top candidate is Mabel. And they also floated Crush's name, but decided against him. They'd really like it to be Bret Hart, but he's previously turned down all of WCW's offers and is still under contract with the WWF, so it won't be him. You ever see My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
I think Bischoff was adamant on one episode of it. He never spoke to Bret outside of a bump into him in the bar, the airport bar.
Yeah.
He said someone saw him talking and someone decided to blow it up and Dave ran with it.
Yeah, he said he had a discussion with him. He floated something about, would he ever come work for us, whatever. But he's like, he never actually made an offer. But, it's not.
He said at the time he wasn't able to, right?
Yeah, right. And
which in hindsight sounds funny, but
right. Well, it's not just somebody ran with it or Dave ran with it, whatever. Bret wrote about it in his book like this happened. And I'm sorry, but Bret Hart, I'll never not be a fan of the guy, but come on, he's in
wrestler,
that. Yeah. He's one of the top 5 guys that I only believe like a quarter of what he says.
No.
It's got it.
I think it was Bischoff that said he's the biggest mark in the world for himself.
Oh yeah, Bret Hart loves him some Bret Hart, dude. I mean, that's no doubt about it. But it's got to be like in that top 5 is like him, Paul Heyman, Jake Roberts, Honky Tonk Man, and Hulk Hogan. Well, not to bring the mood down with this one, but I'm gonna. We
haven't talked about racism, death, or rape yet, so.
Well, this
every time we do one of these podcasts, there's always a story with 1, 2, or all of those. So hit me.
Well, this one is, got 2 of them packed into one. So.
Oh yay!
Ready your butts. The latest on Dick Murdoch, who passed away on June 15th at the age of 49, is that he may have died from a massive stroke rather than a heart attack, as previously reported, but no autopsy was performed, so we'll never know for sure. The night before his funeral, several Dallas area wrestlers went and had a few beers beside his grave and left a 6-pack at the grave when they left. In fact, Murdoch was buried with a Coors Light bottle.
Wow.
Interesting fact for you. Apparently he had he worked for Coors Light for a while. Can't remember if it was Jim Cornette or somebody else was talking about he would, like, they paid him to, like, whenever he would go into the bars with the wrestlers, he would, like, push Coors Light. He's like, oh, let me buy you a free one. Yeah, and then eventually I think they fired him because he was using his company car for a little too much on himself, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean, but
yeah. And the reason I say this is two of them is because it involves death, obviously Dick Murdoch passing away, and racism, where well, at this point we didn't quite know that he was a card-carrying KKK member. So
I'm not even kind of shocked at that.
Yeah. He was West Texas University. It was like a big school down there, I guess. And he never played for them, like on the football team. But
why did Jared tell you that?
Maybe. But yeah, he never played for the team. But he was such a big legend down there, and people thought, like, they lumped him in with the other, like, former players become wrestlers, and they thought he played on the team. Then on the alumni game, they actually invited him to, and he did play in the alumni game for him one time.
So he got his reps in.
Yeah. So he played in the alumni game for a school he never attended. So there you go. Speaking of,
he got Coors Light afterward.
Oh yeah. Hey, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna whoop some ass. And you know what goes good with a good ass whooping is an ice cold Coors Light.
Well, remember, Brock Lesnar cut that promo in UFC. He's going to drink Bud Light because, or is it Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay him anything. So maybe Coors has just always been the one that pays.
Hey, yeah, blasphemy. I'm drinking a Bud Light right now. So, hey, I'm not fishing for sponsors. But speaking of college athletes turned pro, Dr. Death Steve Williams said in a magazine interview that he would like to compete in the UFC, but only if All Japan promoter Giant Baba gives his blessing. Uncle Dave notes that Williams actually defeated Dan Severn in an NCAA tournament 15 years ago. Well, that qualifies him.
Hell yeah! Haven't you ever seen Here Comes the Boom?
Oh man, I forgot
Kevin James he wrestled in high school like 30 years prior, therefore he was qualified to fight in MMA.
Yeah. See, in '96, I'd say, okay, maybe, whatever, because it was kind of a freak show back then. But, like, when Here Comes the Boom came out, like, UFC was actually, like, legitimate. I don't think Steve Williams, well, I don't know, I saw some of the fighters that came out of UFC during that time kind of sucked, so maybe he'd be okay.
It's like, are you saying Tank Abbott sucked?
Yes.
Shut your mouth. He'll cut your beard off with a scissors or a knife to your throat.
Yeah. No, those were scissors. That was not a switchblade that he pulled out of his pocket. Outside of the big two here, after 25 years of running weekly shows at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, USWA is officially moving to the smaller Expo building at the Memphis Flea Market. Oh, man.
Hope for the jokes there.
At the final USWA show at the Mid-South Coliseum, Flex Kavana and Bart Sawyer won the USWA Tag Team titles.
Bart Sawyer, man. That's a white name I ever heard it.
Yeah, right. I think that was the younger brother of Buzz Sawyer, if I remember correctly. And Flex Kavana...
We're all wondering.
But Flex Kavana, for any of you out there, well, he's currently making movies out in Hollywood.
Yeah, he didn't go on to do much. But...
Right. Is he still in the Fast and Furious franchise, or has he moved on from that?
Technically, yes, but not in the movie itself.
Okay. Was the last one he was in Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah.
Okay.
They replaced him with John Cena. Seems to be a running theme for his life.
Wow. Wow. I never put that together. Yeah, John Cena, who does me play Vin Diesel's brother.
Yeah.
You can totally see the resemblance. Look at him.
Yeah. I don't get what you're chuckling at.
Well, one of them you can't understand them, and the other one you can't see.
There you go.
Right.
Just bought my advance tickets, by the way. I'm stoked. Sorry, go ahead.
Nice. Big Japan Pro Wrestling is still planning to bring in Terrible Ted the Wrestling Bear on the next tour.
Holy shit. What?
Real story.
Is that real?
This is real. But several animal rights groups in Japan are heavily protesting against it.
A wrestling bear.
In 1996, not 76, where that was a thing in the South. No, this is in Japan in 96.
Oh my God.
Holy mother of
Bear,
God.
man. I was today's years old when I heard there was such thing as a wrestling bear.
You never heard those? Like, that was a big thing back in, like, the Southern Territories. They would bring in Southern... Yeah, it was cage matches. They
Okay, now that you say Southern Territory, though, I get it.
Yeah, it would always be usually it was like a cage match. And they would throw the bear in the cage with a heel and chase him around and smack him a couple times. And, yeah. I think Jim Cornette said Bobby Eaton started off by doing a ton of matches against bears.
That's how Khabib Nurmagomedov got tough, fighting bears.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what you do in Russia. We fight the bear, get big, strong. I don't know if that was racist or not. I'm moving on.
Definitely stereotypical.
It is. I didn't say anything offensive, so...
I didn't say you did.
Yeah. If anything, I complimented them. Canadian indie wrestler Don Callis is getting a tryout at the WWF
there's a name?
tapings. Yeah. He's losing to Barry Horowitz. Callis was described as a cross between Raven and Bob Holly, and reportedly did okay.
The hell kind of hybrid is that?
You know what you remind me of is these, like, the grunge guy from ECW and the race car driver.
God, talk about being DOA.
Yeah, right? Like, thanks, I guess? I don't know how to respond to that. Should I be offended, or I don't know. Well, you know what Bob Holly would have said about his tryout?
The whole thing sucked.
Exactly. And I guess it did, because he didn't get a job. Well, he got a job, but like as a manager.
Yeah, maybe there a little bit later.
Yeah, when did he pop up in the Truth Commission?
I want to say it was either really late 97 or early 98.
It was definitely 97, because Bret Hart was there.
Okay, then
So-
yeah.
Yeah, because Bret Hart was the one that came up with the idea, according to Bruce Pritchard. They were trying to get, like...
I would try to jump away from having that idea, too.
Yeah, because he was like, when I was over in South Africa, they had this Truth Commission. I think it could work as a gimmick. And it's like, oh,
why does your Bret Hart sound like Johnny Ace wanting to oil McMahon's pecs?
Well, Bret wants it. It's like, well, I'm awfully tan today. I can oil my own pecs. Well, here's something better than Don Callis, man. Recent WWF
It's not a lot
signee-
better than him.
Well, check this out. Recent WWF signee Bill Irwin will be brought in as the Goon.
Hell yes.
Which will be a hockey player. I gotta tell you, I'm not a hockey guy, so it took me years to figure out why he was called the Goon. I'm like, he's a hockey player. Like, what does Goon have to do with anything? And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, so per Bruce Pritchard, he says Vince sees guys and I see you as. I can't imagine that Vince McMahon has ever seen a hockey game in his life. Is where I'm like that. So, let alone when he know what the hell a goon was in hockey.
Right.
So I don't think that was him, to be honest.
Well, Pritchard says this all comes from their their interviews, like their pre-employment interviews. It's like, well, what did you do before you were a wrestler? Well, I was a hockey goon. Well, okay,
I heard that excuse when he used that to try to get around Duke the Dumpster, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah. Well, he was like, no, he was a legit hockey goon. It's like, okay, well, hold that criticism. Here's the next story. Tony Anthony, better known as the Dirty White Boy, will be in WWF.
I know what's coming, sorry.
He will be in the WWF using the name T.L. Hopper and doing a plumber gimmick because what he actually does as a shoot job is he's a plumber. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, plumbers get paid very well from what I heard.
They better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're catching crap all day. But regardless...
I think in this case we can say shit. Think in the face.
But this, he catches... Like, he has to be a plumber on the side because he was working in Smoky Mountain and apparently wasn't getting paid enough.
Wow.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking anyway, if that's his shoot job. Either that or were they out of business at this point? I think they shut down in 95. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, probably. But he transitioned right over to OVW, right? So.
Cornette or Tony Anthony?
Cornette.
Oh, Cornette. Yeah, I think there was like a little layoff there, and then he joined OVW. Because he said he wanted to get the F out of Stanford, so he had him send him to Kentucky.
I remember when he debuted, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Right.
I remember one of the first things I like, one of my earliest or only memories, I should say, of him is at SummerSlam pre-show. Someone dropped a Baby Ruth in the pool. You can see where I'm going with this. And
wasn't that a Caddyshack thing?
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, what the F, man? Just, I get it, he's a jobber, but what the frick, man? You got a plumber, a goon, the trash guy, whatever the hell Sal Sincere was.
I can't believe they have used in the red in 1995 and 6.
Yeah, right? And then you had people like Bash and Booger and Mantar, who had hooves.
Still don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah. Well, here's Wise foreshadowing. Barry Windham had knee surgery 7 months ago and is supposed to be in good shape now. He will be meeting with the WWF in a week or two. He'd come in to be the stalker.
Yes, and it failed miserably. I remember all the promos building him up. It looked like he was even some badass heel. He comes in as just a guy wearing camouflage and a WWF logo t-shirt.
Yeah. Look, okay, first of all, they act like we've never seen Barry Windham in the WWF before.
Or ever, period, anywhere, I guess.
Right. He was a big name in WCW for years, and even if you don't want to go off of that, he's been in the WWF, both as Barry Windham and he was the Widowmaker in his last run.
USA Express.
Yeah. We know who the hell he is. We've seen him. What the F is this? And then,
but there's no box of gimmicks, though.
Yeah. But then, like, the gimmick, like, if you're gonna give him a Hunter gimmick, like, the Stalker, I get what they're, like, I know what they're getting at, but no. No. Oh, God.
It still baffles me to this day. I'm 12 years old watching this. Man, oh, it's Barry Windham. Exactly who it was. And even like the promos.
Yeah, they bring him out. They're like, the Stalker, and you're like, F you. That's Barry Windham.
Yeah. Like the promos too. He was like in the jungle or something like that, hiding like in camo, like hunting something.
Yeah.
And that I couldn't tell who it was because he had the paint on him and all that. But yeah.
Right.
Same thing. Same gear or no ish within a year. Same thing with Goldust. I'm like, oh, that's Dustin Rhodes. What the hell?
Right. Well, I think Pritchard said they actually filmed those in the woods out behind Barry's house too.
Oh. Yeah,
so, yeah. WWF has hired a new announcer named Kevin Kelly, who will likely start as a backstage interviewer, but is being groomed to take over announcing from Vince McMahon, who's planning to step down in a year or so. Hashtag plans changed.
And if you don't like Kevin Kelly, please die.
Yeah, right. First of all, hashtag plans changed. Second of all, yes, if you don't like Kevin Kelly, please die.
It's a real quote from Dave Meltzer, though, folks.
Yep. Yeah, he can try to backpedal away from it. You know, he told people if they don't like Kevin Kelly, please die. And the Iconics gained weight after NXT. You know, and he went on every week about how Sable was more boobs and fake boobs than woman and all plastic and all this other crap. Even if...
Hey, thanks for pointing out the obvious, Dave.
Well, it's like, even if all that is true, why are you printing this? Like, good Lord.
Because little marks pay all the money for it.
Well, it's like, did she laugh at your little ding-a-ling or something? Like, God, like, what is your problem with her, dude?
What the fuck? Holy crap, you said that.
No, that's the only thing I could think of, man. My favorite thing, by the way, is Cornette called Sable the female Ultimate Warrior.
She wishes.
Because he said, well, she had the look, Vince was able to, do mass hypnosis and get people to cheer for him, and they sucked in the ring and should have never been in the business. Like, oh, man. A little stiff, but whatever.
I mean, he's not totally wrong, but, I love the Ultimate Warriors.
Right. And I love Sable. For different reasons, but yeah. Either way. Jeff Jarrett's WWF contract expires on October 7th, and he'll be starting with WCW immediately after. This would be when he tries to get into the Four Horsemen.
Still wearing that uniform, by the way. Just need to point that out.
Effing, flamboyant Chippendale dancer outfit.
When I think of a Chippendale, man, I think of somebody from Tennessee.
Well, he had... do you remember that beautiful blonde hair he had all coiffed and everything?
I did,
So perfect.
Yeah.
He had the look, man. He should have been in that Saturday Night Live skit with Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley. All right. Anyway, this will actually lead into the pay-per-view that we're going to talk about. Brian Pillman debuted on Raw this past week, doing his contract signing in a pre-taped segment. He was in the hospital all week prior to that because his ankle got infected and he had a high fever. That I did not know. You remember when he popped up on WWF?
I do, yeah.
I mean, did you, were you kind of shocked? Like, oh, wow, that's Flying Brian.
Yeah, I don't remember how I felt, honestly. I really can't tell you. I mean, it was cool, but, I mean, I had, my fandom had worn off because I didn't like the loose cannon thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get it now, but, at the time, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I know he had his place in history, and especially looking back now, it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But, I feel like at the time, right now, when they look back, they make it a bigger deal than it really was in the big scheme of things. I mean, am I wrong about that?
No.
Yeah, 'cause I'm just I don't think anybody was I mean, smart fans and certain people, sure, whatever, but I don't think the majority of people were like, oh my gosh, they got Flying Brian Pillman?
Well, also keep in mind he was doing the whole loose cannon thing, right?
Yeah.
But if anybody watched his introduction to WWE, he's not doing loose cannon thing. He's really calm and he's genuinely happy to be there. And it's
wow.
What am I supposed to feel right now? What are you?
I know. That makes him even crazier because, sometimes he's normal, sometimes he's nuts.
Yes, please sign that.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. But anyway, last couple stories here out at ECW. I haven't done it in a couple of months, so I think I should bring it back.
This week in ECW.
ECW's Hardcore Heaven 96 took place and was a mess of a show due to various technical problems, but was still regarded as one of ECW's best shows ever. I've never seen it, so I can't comment.
It's like picking up the good end of a piece of crap, right?
Yeah. Well, that's like picking up a turd by the clean end. Yeah, I just, well, I mean, that's faint praise, but whatever. Over 1,500 people were jammed into the ECW arena, and the show lasted more than 5 hours due to delays. For starters, the sound system went out. Then at one point, the ring broke, and there was a long delay going after midnight. In order to keep the crowd from getting restless, Kimono Wanalea came out and did a striptease for the crowd. And finally, when the Sabu RVD main event started at nearly 1 a.m., the top rope broke early in the match, so they just worked the rest of the match without it.
Man.
You remember when the
rope broke? I get crap from people for hating on ECW, and you wonder why I hate this garbage.
This was man, you want to talk about snake bit, dude. Sound system goes out, ring breaks, the top rope breaks, damn.
This is God's way of telling him, get rid of this crap. I want it off.
Yeah, right. This is the equivalent of getting struck by lightning multiple times. God's telling you, you're doing something wrong. Whatever you're doing, stop it. Just stop.
I'm sorry, but if you like ECW, if you genuinely like ECW, something wrong with you.
Well, there's a frequent listener that will take offense to that, but
I know. Dude, it sucks.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it.
I give AEW crap, but man, They try to wrestle. I don't know what the hell this was.
Stuff? I don't know. But I didn't realize a couple of these things happened in this time period, by the way. We talked about this a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. I can't remember which show it was.
Real quick. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still like, when you just said, you didn't realize it happened in the same time period. I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that we get what we're about to see, and the Outsiders doing what they did at Bischoff in the exact same month.
Yeah.
What the hell? I never realized it was the exact same month. That's insane.
This honestly was a big month, historic for a few reasons. I'll get to a couple, the things out of ECW that, one of them.
Please.
One of them really is.
Please.
Well, one of them really is memorable. Depending on what way you go, for better or worse. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I forget. We touched on this about a month ago. I can't remember which 96 show we talked about this, but it actually happened. One of the matches was Taz versus UFC fighter Paul Verlans in a so-called shoot. And I believe you told me you have no idea who that guy is.
Right.
Okay. Well, the idea was to have Taz beat a known UFC fighter to give him credibility before the show. But before the show, Verlans refused to do a clean job to Taz. A compromise was worked out for Perry Saturn to interfere and cost him the match. There was a lot of heat in the days before the match because Verlans was acting like he might not even show up and talked as though he was really going to shoot on Taz. Just in case things went wrong, Paul Heyman had several other heel wrestlers at ringside for the match so that they could get involved if Verlans went rough. Eventually, Verlans agreed to put Taz over, but not cleanly. Because to this day we know who Paul Verlans is, but Taz, where the hell is he?
That's the guy that wrestled in ECW. That's who he is.
I think he changed my oil at Jiffy Lube the other day, but I could be wrong. Anyway. But there's another story that Missy Hyatt wrote about in her book. I don't know if, again, that's another one of them people, can you really believe? But supposedly she talked him into doing the job, claiming that if
by giving him. Oh, sorry.
Well, here we go. If she said if he agreed to put Taz over and do the job, she would fillet him.
Wow.
And then when he got to the back to collect on his agreement, she said, "Sorry, I don't, jobbers." And he got angry and started destroying the locker room. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. It came from Missy Hyatt. So.
Okay, look at the context of that story, though. So that one I actually might believe.
Yeah.
Without saying it, no one's accusing her of doing it for once. I think I might have to believe this one.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the Sunny book, where she just goes on about all her sexual escapades, and it's like, I believe most of them. I don't know if I believe all of them.
Yeah.
But last story here. This was what I was talking about.
By the way.
Yeah.
About the MMA guy versus the wrestler. I don't know if you know yet. We're going to see that again very soon.
Oh, really? Who and where?
Well, it was proposed on Dynamite. It's going to be probably Hager and Wardlow in a cage, or in a MMA cage. Yeah, so there's that.
I don't know how I feel about that one. We'll see.
Hager is adamant that he's undefeated as a MMA, but he can beat anybody.
He is, but
that's right. He beat what's his name, Joe Schmo. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Well, remember when he kneed the guy so hard the balls he had to quit? Yep. But this is the thing I was talking about, another historic angle for this time period. This was also the famous show where Sandman's wife, Peaches, became Raven's new valet, and they got Sandman's 9-year-old son involved in the angle too, with the story being that he now worships Raven, and he disowned his father.
You're drunk. I now worship Raven.
And I'm going to reuse it. I wish Raven was my father, and I wish he didn't have the devil's curly hair. Oh, man. I hope somebody gets that reference. All right. Well,
if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Just watch some movies, man. That's all I can say. We're nerds. But all right. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're actually diving into the event at hand, which is a good one. It's King of the Ring 96. right after this.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event_Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event_Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan.
Alan.
Oh, yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot
The
that.
same mother and father.
Your room was...
Oh, we shared the room.
Shared a room.
We shared a room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah,
from
we go
somewhere.
way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast.
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The
Broadcast.
Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah, well.
What do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies. Go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. There. Nearly stuffed up the ending.
Yeah, it's all right. Good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at The Broadcast Podcast.
Remember, we don't spell it with a C. We spell it with a K.
Sorry, mate.
Take it easy.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Now back to the show.
And we're back for WWF King of the Ring 1996. Took place June 23rd, 1996. The tagline, "To battle is honor, to win is hell." Okay. I mean, it's better than anything TNA ever came up with. You and I talked about the taglines that TNA comes up with. They're just something else, man. But the venue was the Mecca Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They had a sellout attendance of 8,762 for a gate of $142,568. The pay-per-view buy rate was .65, which amounted to 160,000 buys. So, pretty good, I'd say. Not a bad buy rate.
Decent.
But the opening package plays up the Ultimate Warrior versus Jerry Lawler feud. Man, what a feud that was. We get to see that infamous pro thing in the ring where Ultimate Warrior wore a damn ball cap.
Yep.
Yeah, because he was like so concerned that Lawler was going to hit him too hard with the glass picture and hurt him. Like, my gosh. Anyway, the Undertaker versus Mankind feud, the Smoking Guns versus Godwinns, Goldust versus Ahmed Johnson for the Intercontinental Title, Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog for the WWF Title, and all the men who are competing in the King of the Ring tournament. The announcers say that this is the greatest card in the history of King of the Ring. I mean, maybe? Can you think of, at least up until this point. Well,
legendary.
Yep. We finally go into the arena. Owen Hart is coming out in a tuxedo and carrying one of his Slammies.
That sight was just great.
Yeah.
He was legit hurt here, so he couldn't do anything. I think he was supposed to be in the tournament. Someone
yeah,
said.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he's wearing a cast on his one hand. So, but he shoves himself between Jim Ross and Vince McMahon, saying that they need to quit wasting time so that he can give his expertise on the matches. Side note, it's pretty sweet that they made the round lighting truss above the ring into a giant crown.
I like that. Yeah,
it was awesome. When they zoomed out, I was like, whoa, that's awesome. The first match of the night is a King of the Ring tournament semifinals match. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Wild Man Mark Merrow. Sable in his corner. This went just shy of 17 minutes. Austin is still coming out to his Ringmaster theme, and he hasn't gotten his vest yet. He just recently debuted the Stone Cold Stunner against Savio Vega. During this match, Merrow busts a hole in Austin's upper lip, and he'll have to go to get that stitched up at a medical facility, pal.
So last week I was when we were closing. That's what I was talking about. I don't think it's ever happened in wrestling history before when someone gets busted open, has to go to the hospital, get fixed, come back, and has another match.
Yeah. Well, usually, I think now, if they do have to get stitched up, I think they just do it right in the back.
Yeah, right, yeah. So that's probably why it's never happened before.
Right. This one,
it could also be argued that they have that now because of this. I don't know if that's true, but...
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Because Austin talked about this on his A&E biography that I watched. He said, I had to go to the hospital, and I got back right before... He's like, I literally walked in the building and to the ring for my next match. So, but either way, in the end, a stun gun gets a near fall, but the stunner gets a 3 count. Uncle Dave gave it 3 3/4 stars. I wasn't that crazy about it. I gave it 2.5 for average. What say you?
I gave it 3. I really love this match.
I don't know why. It's just something about Mero and WWF never clicked for me. Just like, I don't know. And him and Austin, I felt like they could have had better, but it was just me, because you and Uncle Dave sure liked it. So either way,
I just always liked Mero. I don't know why. Also, we got to point out he opened the card. That's a staple of Mark Mero's career.
Yeah, I know. It's like he's a perennial curtain jerker. Why wasn't that one of his gimmicks? Curtain jerker Mark Mero.
I don't think they want to use curtain jerker, but
yeah. Either way, we now go to the back where Doc Hendricks is standing by with Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake spouts out a bunch of church hymn lines and then says he can't lose with the power of God lifting him up. I like how Mick Foley points out, he's like, I'm not mocking anybody for that, but he's like, it's kind of hard to believe Jake when he's talking about all this, and then like I'm seeing him like drunk off his ass pissing on the side of somebody's car out in the parking lot. Like, yeah, something tells me that he's lying, but
no.
Regardless. Yeah. I like, by the way, how he had to wear they made him wear the vest at this time because he was like so out of shape. They're like, yeah, might want to cover that up. Either way, next match
He
is
would eventually
Vader.
lose it, by the way.
What, the gut?
No,
Or the vest?
The vest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you remember what he looked like at Heroes of Wrestling.
Yep, I remember. I just had a flashback of that because they showed it on his Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, and he wore karate pants tucked into his cowboy boots. Anyway.
It doesn't get more white than that.
Right. But the next match is another King of the Ring semifinals match. It's Vader with Jim Cornette taking on Jake the Snake Roberts, or as Brian Zane calls him, Jacob the Snakeab Roberts. This one went about 3.5 minutes. In the end, Vader misses a splash in the corner. Jake goes for the DDT, and Vader takes the referee down with him. So the referee disqualifies Vader for that. To me, it looked like Vader just bumped into him, but they claimed that he pulled the referee down. Like, okay. Dave gives it 1/4 star. I give it 1.5 for what it is. Maybe 1, because it's not that long. What say you?
I gave it 1. It was terrible, but...
Yeah. Well,
clearly they're setting up something else, so... But I'm not giving points
right.
for that. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah. This was, like, I'm like, why so short? Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have had him wrestle at least a little bit here, but maybe they weren't confident that Jake and Vader could have a good match. Either way, after the match, Vader splashes Jake in the corner twice as Cornette holds the referee back. Vader then hits a Vader bomb on Jake before a ton of referees hit the ring to hold Vader back and get Jake out of there. Backstage in the restroom, I don't know why they're in an effing restroom, Jim Cornette is shouting about how the, quote, crooked referee screwed Vader over, and then Vader grabs Cornette, shaking him and shouting, I didn't lose! I'm king of the ring!
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, basically. I just wanted him to look in the camera, Stinger! Stinger! Bad flashbacks. Yeah, so when he grabbed Cornette like that just, like, reminded me of Cornette saying that, like, Vader didn't, like, take care of his gloves very well, and they, like, flaked off a lot. And one time he grabbed him like that and shook him, and the black rubbed off of his gloves and like, ruined his suit jacket, so he had to throw it away.
Yeah, those are some custom suits, too.
Yeah, those are Kentucky Derby suits, man.
He wishes.
No, really, he said he buys them around Kentucky Derby season. He goes down and buys all those loud-ass suits just for that.
Him and Tom Brady have them on wholesale.
Oh, my gosh. I'm wondering, it's like, where the hell does Tom Brady shop? Because I just want to know so I never accidentally walk in there. I'm sure it's all very expensive, but, I mean, you can mark up crap.
I look at, I'm like, that dude's a billionaire?
Yeah. Cam Newton, too. He dresses like an old lady. Like, oh, man. What is it with, like, so did they sign Cam because they're like, well, we got rid of, the one horrible dresser, got to get another one.
Pretty much, yeah.
We got to make somebody look and make the others look good. But we now see footage of how Billy Gunn forced a kiss on Sonny during a match with the Godwinns. Yeah, because that would go over well today.
Well, it's all like, at least he just did it without telling us Goldust, and I want to come out there and stick my tongue down your throat.
Well, at least he warned them, so that's good. But him forcing that kiss on Sonny apparently turned her on to the Smoking Guns from the Godwinns. Now, backstage, Doc
I can't
Hendricks...
understand how. I mean, you had Phineas for crying out loud.
How can you give up Naked Midian, or excuse me, soon-to-be Naked Midian for Billy effing Gunn? Like, really?
Billy
Come on.
Bitch Cakes.
Wow.
Real name?
But,
well, someone called him it.
Yeah.
Edge.
But backstage, Doc Hendricks interviews all of them and shows footage from the free-for-all where the Bonnie Donnas have a new manager named Cloudy. It's literally a man in makeup and a blonde wig with Sonny, but Sonny is acting like it's an ugly woman. Like, what the hell, man?
Well, Dr. Tom needed somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I just wanted to point out that Bruce Prichard's brother was this guy.
Yeah. Well, all I can think of when I saw this was...
It's ma'am. It is ma'am.
Oh my God. Holy crap.
I mean, come on. Am I wrong there?
Move on.
All right. Do I have to get to this match?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Smoking Guns of Billy and Bart Gunn defending the W...
I didn't think it was that bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible. But they're defending the WWF Tag Team titles with Sonny in their corner, by the way, against the Godwinns of Henry O. and Phineas I. Godwinn. Hog and Pig.
I'm so glad you told us that, because I thought it would be the other Godwinns.
Well, I gotta let them know. It's Phineas I. Godwinn for Pig and Henry O. Godwinn for Hog. Gotta let them know. But they have Hillbilly Jim in their corner because, honey, we struck it big. We got the big time. He's got to collect that paycheck for him and his mama.
Yes, we were at that Hall of Fame, by the way, folks.
Yeah, and I got up to piss during his speech. And anyway, this went 10 minutes, 10 seconds. The Godwinns and Hillbilly Jim come to the ring carrying baby goats. Okay?
I'm just really bummed that every time I watch a match with Hillbilly or these two, whatever, they don't have the actual theme song.
Oh, that's not the original theme song?
No, they come out to like that weird...
Did they come out to Don't Go...
No, they don't. Boy? They come out to a dubbed song.
No, I mean, was that the song they originally came out to?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know the Godwinns came out to that. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't have the rights to that song, because they didn't even, like, even for, like, when they can use it, like, and get away with it, like, and dub it in. They didn't use that at the Hall of Fame we went to.
Yeah.
The banjo music. What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know.
I believe the last time we ever heard it was WrestleMania 17.
Wow. Oh. Now in the archives, by the way, we reviewed that a couple months ago. But, yeah, they put the baby goats in the ring and let them run around and while they stomp and clap. Yeah, that was a thing.
You say that negatively.
Yeah. We now go to picture-in-picture during this match with Cloudy, quote-unquote, she thanks Mr. McMahon, says that she fills out her outfit better than Sonny, and blows a kiss to Mr. McMahon. Mother of God. I guess they said this was just like a friend of Chris Candido's, that, he wanted to get a job.
Man, what a way.
Yeah, right? Hey, you want to dress in drag on national TV? Sure. Whatever. I just now thought of this, like, when I was watching this, I was like, this is like Vince McMahon's two visions of the South. Either you're a pig farming hick, or you're a cowboy.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Anyway, in the end, when the referee's distracted, Bart Gunn nails Phineas in the back of the head with his cowboy boot, and Billy pins him for the win. Uncle Dave gave it 1.25 stars. I gave it an even 2. What say you?
I gave it 2.
It was fine.
Well, Gunn, though, he's getting ready to win the Brawl for All, let's not forget. It's coming up.
Hell yes. That was something to remember, man. But after the match, the Godwinns brawl with the Guns, sending them into retreat. Sonny dances with the belts in front of the entryway. As we go back to Doc Hendricks standing in the locker room with the British Bulldog, Jim Cornette, and Clarence Mason. They put over how the deck is being stacked against Shawn Michaels with Owen Hart at ringside and Mr. Perfect as guest referee for the world title match. There you go. And Clarence Mason's no longer in basically a body. He's made a miraculous recovery.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. He's been healed.
That's probably who did it.
Brother Love will lay hands on you and bring you the healing powers of love.
I love how he's just like a typical like a minister.
Yeah, like a Southern Baptist preacher.
But he used the word love instead. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always
we
feel like
use the book of love.
I always found the key kind of brilliant.
Yeah. Well, and he never had a Bible. He had the book of love. Like, whatever. That was funny, though. I never understood him painting his face red, though. That one.
I didn't either. When I realized that it was paint the whole time, I was kind of like shocked.
Yeah. I'm like, I get that you're trying to look like, because they get all red-faced and sweaty and whatever when they're preaching, like, Baptist churches in the South. But, like, that was clearly paint. Like, he didn't even make it look real. And I don't know if that's what he was going for, but I'm going to assume. Either way, before the next match, Jerry Lawler walks up onto the stage where the King of the Ring will be coronated. Lawler grabs a mic and tells McMahon to shut up before he looks over at the King stuff and takes the scepter. Then, on his way to the ring, King verbally craps on the Milwaukee Brewers before singling out people in the crowd for being ugly, fat, or losers. I like this one. Speaking of things that wouldn't get over in 2021, he tells one young woman that it's women like her that turn men into, well, people like Goldust.
Yep.
Oh,
This
man.
was the unofficial beginning of Goldust's face turn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They would have a feud.
Nice.
And I'm going to try to censor this. Jerry Lawler would drop the Q word, if you will, on TV.
Well, Ron Simmons dropped the F word on him.
Yeah.
So there's that. Although it did sound like he called him a ferret. So I don't know. Because the way he pronounced it, I was like, did you say what I think you said? Because it sounded like ferret, but it also sounded like the other word.
No, it's okay. They say that kind of stuff at Florida.
Yeah, that's fine. But King then says that it's the fault of the Ultimate Warrior that they're fighting because he never accepted Lawler's painting of him. So Lawler says that like the painting, he framed the Warrior, and now he's going to hang him. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny though. I heard Lawler said he really did that. Like that was really his painting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Apparently Lawler just loved to paint, so he'd paint anything. I think he made a big ass painting for Vince McMahon or a few of them. So I think if I remember correctly, he made one of like Vince's whole family, and like Vince cried.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rumor has it he has a painting of Baker Mayfield with the Lombardi Trophy, and it's got "ha ha" written under it. Anyways, let's move on.
What the hell? Hold on one quick second.
That might have been funnier last year when they weren't actually, or year before last when they weren't actually good.
Wow. This match is Jerry the King Lawler versus the Ultimate Warrior. It lasted just shy of 4 minutes. Lawler jumpstarts the match by hitting Warrior in the ribs with the scepter and then choking him with it. Lawler uses Warrior's duster and his wrist tape to choke him out, and even punches him with something he pulled out of his trunks. Finally, Warrior no-sells the pile driver, a la Road Warrior Hawk. Remember when Hawk used to do that crap?
I do.
He repeatedly clotheslines Lawler, hits a flying shoulder tackle, and then pins him by putting his knees on his chest. The match was short because Warrior apparently had a shoulder injury, although I don't think they could have gone much longer. Uncle Dave gave it a dud. I just gave it a star. What say you?
I'll give it 1.
Whole thing sucked?
Yeah, but I mean, it was never going to be great. So, I mean, not much to...
Nobody really looks fondly upon this run of the Warrior here.
If you notice, they skipped over it in the Dark Side documentary and the WCW one. Oh, the WCW one skipped over both, but...
I was really shocked because they have access to, like, Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, Bischoff was on there.
Yeah, so how did they not cover his WCW stuff? I know they only have a short amount of time, but, like, dang. Either way. But we now go to backstage where Doc Hendricks is standing by with WWF President Gorilla Monsoon while a doctor is taping up Jake Roberts' ribs. Monsoon says that he doesn't know how bad Jake's injuries are, but he will let him wrestle again against Steve Austin later tonight. So one has a kayfabe injury and one has a legit injury.
Yeah, and the blood of the lamb was going to help him. He didn't get what he was saying, did he?
I really don't know.
Hey, you know, like, you're gonna be religious, whatever, to each his own, but quote it right, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's more of like that. I guess I can see, you know, because when somebody said like, well, I pray the blood over you, or whatever, it means like, you know, like healing powers or whatever. But still, like, I don't know. I don't think he fully bought into it. Is my thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was just a gimmick. I hate saying that.
Yeah. We see highlight footage now of Mankind popping out of the casket at Beware of Dog, which we covered, and helping Goldust stuff the Undertaker into the casket, costing Undertaker that match. Then, again on Raw, he held Undertaker outside of the ring to get Undertaker counted out against the British Bulldog. He then lays Undertaker out with a pile driver. And that leads us to this. It's Mankind versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer in his corner. It went 18 minutes and 21 seconds. This was my second favorite match on the entire card, I'll say.
This is my absolute favorite match in this entire card.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll get to my favorite match later. But this one...
Oh, yeah, if it's not this, it can only be one other thing, so yeah.
Right. But Paul Bearer walks to the ring alone, looking worried. But when he raises up the urn in the corner, the lights come up, and The Undertaker is on the top rope, and he leaps onto Mankind with a clothesline to jumpstart this match. I noticed almost every match on this card was a jumpstart, by the way.
Yeah, and Jim Cornette was there, so...
Yeah, I know.
What if we jumpstarted?
You gotta get a jump start, you gotta get an afterbirth, you know, all the stuff. And...
What the hell?
You never heard him say that?
Yeah, I've heard, yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's just like I never would have known that verbiage for him. It wasn't for him.
You're right. But they never announced this as a no disqualification match, I don't believe. But they use a chair repeatedly, and no one gets disqualified.
Well, they use the old excuse, the referee's letting them go or whatever.
Yeah, kind of like when Hogan used to do that as Hollywood Hogan.
Yep.
And they're just like, well, you know, he's using discretion. Whatever. Paul Bearer stops Mankind from hitting The Undertaker with the urn, but Mankind locks in the mandible claw on The Undertaker. Taker fights back, but Bearer accidentally clocks The Undertaker with the urn, allowing Mankind to lock in the mandible claw yet again. Taker passes out. Mankind wins it. Uncle Dave gave it 3 1/4 stars. I gave it an even 3. What say you?
I gave it 3. I loved this match.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they would have a far... Actually, no, I wanted to say 4, but they have a couple of way better matches within this year. So because of that, knowing what I know, I said 3. But this was damn good.
Buried Alive comes up this October, right?
Yeah, they also wrestled the Survivor Series, and there's a match on Raw, I believe. So,
In Your House, Buried Alive, now in the archives. Go check that out. We covered it last October because I didn't think ahead that we were actually going to go through 96 this year. It was just kind of a happy accident. But, yeah, so go check that out.
I do want to say, I remember watching this, and I was waiting for Paul Bearer to turn on him. I feel like I knew it was coming. And spoiler, it would happen at SummerSlam. But...
Yeah.
I feel like I knew it was coming, and then when he hit him with the urn, I thought it was on purpose. Looking back, it probably was. But like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see
it just felt inevitable.
It building up. Yeah. Yeah, you could see it kind of building up after a while. But after the match,
I think this is one of the quiet, greatest feuds Undertaker's ever had. I know he's had way better ones, but this is like one of the best.
Yeah, this wasn't a main event feud, but I feel like this was like one of his top feuds
it
ever.
made sense because never had he been owned like this.
Right. And his feud with Kane, I feel, was like had more story to it. But
it did, but my problem with that one is as great as it was, like all of a sudden after they're just tag team. It just kind of, don't get me wrong, it was great, but I don't know.
The matches were
felt like lazy.
Yeah, the matches were kind of hit and miss for me with them. Like they weren't always.
They had 14, which is like pretty close to a 5-star, and then they never touched that again.
Right. Yeah. Whereas every time Undertaker and Mankind hooked up, it was amazing almost every time.
Yeah.
So, but after the match, Mankind chases Paul Bearer to the back with a steel chair. After this, we go to the back again with Doc Hendricks, who's standing by with Mr. Perfect. Hendricks says that he doubts that Mr. Perfect will be objective tonight, but Mr. Perfect dismisses Doc's doubts. Shawn Michaels comes up and tells Perfect that if he indeed calls a world title match down the middle, he'll have to raise the hand of the better man. And he walks off. So
it is insane to me to look back at 1996 and look at the guys Mr. Perfect was with and never got real matches with them. Like, he was a referee here, never got the match with Bulldog, not to spoil anything. And then he had the thing with Triple H, never got that match.
Oh, I know.
And those would have been amazing.
Yeah. That Lloyd's of London thing that, he took. He thought that was going to be the answer, but.
Yeah, but he got out of it. Obviously, because he wrestled again.
Yeah, I think Bischoff paid it off, or Turner, rather, paid it off.
Why didn't they do it for Rude? Not to go off on a tangent real quick, but why didn't they do it for him?
I can't remember the reasoning for that one. Bischoff said why. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but either way, I think that was part of the deal with Hennig coming over, whereas Rude just came over. So
yeah, well, he came over for the screw job, so.
Yeah, so I think it was on. So I think that was why, because that was part of Hennig's negotiations, I believe, was like.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like, well, pay it off and I'll wrestle, whereas Rude was just like, I want a job. This next match was Goldust with Marlena. He's defending the Intercontinental title against Ahmed Johnson in 15.5 minutes. Ahmed Johnson rushes the ring.
I gotta point out something real quick.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see who were holding the doors for this?
No.
I believe this was a Young Hardy Boys.
I thought I was looking. It didn't, I didn't get a good look at them, but this didn't look like the year that they did that, but I could be wrong.
I know. I don't know if they were doing all night, but they were definitely the ones that took the hit from Ahmed Johnson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Johnson
95, I believe they did, for sure, all night.
Yeah, they did. I believe,
but I just
95
thought it was funny, like, oh, wait, they're going to get hit by these freaking huge-ass doors. We need somebody to do it.
You guys don't mind, do you? Well, Johnson rushes the ring.
Real quick, by the way, as you're saying, he's rushing to the ring. He bursts out the doors and knocks the hell out of these guys. I thought that was cool. I don't know why.
I like these old set pieces, too, like that.
Yeah.
So.
That's a huge lost art in today's wrestling.
I know. He rushes the ring and jumpstarts the match. There you go again. They ended up brawling all around ringside for a while. This was a hard-hitting match. After knocking Ahmed out with a pile driver, Goldust crawls up him while rubbing on him seductively. Later on, he kisses Ahmed's body while rubbing on him. He goes for mouth-to-mouth again on Johnson, but after a couple of puffs, Ahmed goozles Goldust and beats the crap out of him. Finally, Johnson wins with the Pearl River Plunge. Uncle Dave gave it dose stars. I gave it 3, actually. I really liked this match. What say you?
I as well gave it 3. I liked it. I had good build-up and everything. And I got to be honest, at this time right here, as we're speaking, I was like hashtag all in on Ahmed Johnson. This is my guy. I was a huge fan of his.
Well, Bill Watts wanted to call him Buck Johnson. So
yeah.
That would have got over like a fart in church.
I don't know. He had that it factor. I don't know what it was, man. There's something about him.
I liked him. He was never going to have a 5-star match.
He had an awesome-ass theme song, by the way. I need to point that out.
Yep.
Badass theme song.
One of my favorites that Jim Johnson ever came up with that most people don't talk about.
Yeah, but I love the Pearl River Plunge. That was a cool move.
Oh, yeah. that Tiger Driver, that was some good stuff, man, because nobody in WWE did it at that time.
Yeah.
So it was cool. But backstage, Ahmed Johnson walks into the babyface locker room, and everyone pops champagne to celebrate with him. Shawn Michaels even comes up to hug him and congratulate him. We now go to a commercial for WWF International Incident, where a WWF fan gets abducted by aliens out of his living room. And he asks the aliens if they can do all that later because he's watching WWF. Then the aliens go back to the guy's home to watch the WWF with him. And when they see Sonny, they say that they require further inspection, and they beam Sonny into the guy's living room.
So stupid, but I loved it. It was so horrible that it was good.
All these commercials back in this time period were awful. Just, man.
This one in particular, man, it was just like, wow, this is so bad it's good.
Do you remember that last one we talked about where the king thought he went to heaven, but he ended up going to hell?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon was Satan. Oh, man. But here we go now. Brian Pillman
Suddenly that makes the match with God make all sense in the world. I just got that. Okay.
Right. Brian Pillman uses his crutches to come down to the ring, shouting at the cameraman and the fans. Pillman is wearing a Four Horsemen t-shirt, by the way. Don't know if you noticed that.
I don't know how that got how they got on TV, but I'm guessing
he probably didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
So that's my only
kind of like
guess.
that situation with Lita in the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, where she had that "Time's Up" written on her stomach, but didn't tell anybody.
Oh yeah, yep. Jim Ross interviews Pillman at ringside, and Pillman says that he doesn't give a damn about Ross's family or the fans, or no, Pillman's family, I think, or the fans. And it's easy to see why Jeffrey Dahmer tried to consume that entire state of Wisconsin. That
was a bit much for me, but I'm not laughing. It's not funny, but I'm like, wow, he said that.
Yeah, he just said whatever the F he wanted, and he ends up calling Jim Ross a stupid son of a bitch, and he says he does and says whatever he wants, and that he's going to, quote, rape, pillage, and plunder the entire Federation. Like, that doesn't sound appealing, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I feel like his raspy voice made it all the better.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It added a sense of cool to it.
This is on a night we're about to get what we're about to get, by the way. That's
right.
It's kind of
we go from Pillman to Austin. The next match is a King of the Ring tournament finals match. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Jake the Snake Roberts in 4.5 minutes. Stone Cold attacks Jake right away, attacking the ribs. Eventually, Austin rips off all of Jake's rib tape. Gorilla Monsoon comes down to check on Roberts. Jake refuses to surrender, and he attacks Austin. The flurry is short-lived, however, and Austin is able to hit the Stone Cold Stunner for the win. Uncle Dave gave it a 0.5 star. I just gave it an even star. What say you?
I gave it 1 star, but what's coming up, I will give 5 stars to.
Yeah, that sucked, but this, yeah. I don't want to say it sucked. It just, I don't know. It was what it was. But after the match, Steve Austin goes up to the stage where the King of the Ring throne is, and Doc Hendricks is standing by with a microphone. Austin says he proved that Jake Roberts doesn't have what it takes anymore to compete in the WWF. He now drops his infamous line of, you thump your Bible and you say your prayers and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your Psalms, talk about your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. Austin says that Roberts needs to go buy a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and get back that courage he had in the 80s.
Thunderbird?
Yeah. I was like, damn, that's a random one. But
that's a white one is what it is.
Well, look who he's talking about. But he finishes it all by putting everyone in the WWF on notice, saying he will be the WWF champion, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
I like when he said, doesn't matter who or what they are, they're all on the list. Basically saying, cheer me, boo me, I hate everybody.
Yep. You just made the list of Austin. Oh, man. But we're going to take our second to last break. When we come back, it's main event time, and what a main event it is. It's a WWF title match right after this.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector. Fubo TV offers you live sports and TV without the overpriced cable. Fubo TV offers 100 channels, live and on demand, plus over 130 streaming in 4K, and a cloud DVR is included. The Fubo TV app is available on all smart devices, so you can watch what you want when you want. There are no hidden fees, and you can cancel anytime. Cut the cord and sign up for your free trial at Fubo.tv today. Fubo TV is a sponsor of the Main Event Marks and Unhinged Sports Network. The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back. It is Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario in his corner. He's defending the WWF World Heavyweight Title against the British Bulldog with Diana Smith and Jim Cornette in his corner. Mr. Perfect is the special outside enforcer. This one went about 26.5 minutes. You've got to love the overt racist comments that were allowed back then. Owen openly calls Jose Lothario a, quote, dirty old Mexican.
Yeah.
He said a lot of regretful things about Jose during this match, and I was just like, yikes. Anyway, Bulldog turns the crowd against him instantly by waving the Union Jack. At one point, Jim Cornette tries to get involved, and Michaels takes his racket and smacks him in the ass with it. I thought that was funny. In the end, Shawn Michaels hits sweet chin music. Mr. Perfect slides in. He makes the count with Earl Hebner, but Owen pulls Mr. Perfect out as Hebner counts to 3, awarding the match to Shawn. Uncle Dave gave it 4.25 stars. I just gave it an even 4 stars. It's my favorite match of the night. What do you give it?
I gave it 4. I thought it was the best match of the night. My favorite's still Mankind and Undertaker, but this is clearly better.
Yeah, this was, I mean, for as much as I didn't like their Beware of Dog match, and I can make excuses and whatever, this was great, man.
Yep.
Both men had their working boots on. They were in top form. Everybody played their parts great. I loved it. But after the match, it's still going on.
Yeah, we got an afterbirth.
Wow. Owen's arguing with Mr. Perfect outside of the ring, asking why he was counting for Shawn. And then he slides in to beat up on Shawn. Michaels fights off both Owen and Bulldog before finally Owen connects with a spinning wheel kick to put HBK down. Now Ahmed Johnson eventually runs to the ring and starts beating up Owen and Bulldog, helping Shawn. Now Vader runs in to beat up on Johnson as Owen stomps away at Shawn. Owen dives off the top rope to knock Shawn Michaels out with his cast before holding him down so Vader can go up top. And then the Ultimate Warrior rushes in, shoving Vader off the top, chasing off Camp Cornette, and in the end, Warrior, Michaels, Johnson, and Lothario all celebrate together in the ring, while Shawn Michaels' music plays, and the crowd goes wild. There you go.
I went crazy for this when I was watching it, dude.
Oh, I bet.
I went
sure you loved
nuts.
all 3 of them guys.
Yep.
It's a hell of an awkward-ass team, but it's cool. Never thought I'd see these 3 in the same ring together, but yeah. But we now go backstage as we're informed that at the International Incident pay-per-view, it will be a 6-man match of Vader, Bulldog, and Owen taking on Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, and Ultimate Warrior. Jim Ross is standing by with Camp Cornette. Corny claims that Jose Lothario pulled a switchblade on him. And he complains about how Bulldog got screwed over by Shawn Michaels and all of his friends at ringside. Cornette finishes the promo by saying Jim Ross has the biggest jowls he's ever seen in his life.
Good Lord.
and then Jim Ross was like, why don't you shut the hell up? This was great. But all right, man, that's the show. I guess we should take our final break. When we come back, final ratings and what's coming up on the future of the podcast.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector. Fanatics offers the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and gear from all the leagues, teams, and players that you love, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, NCAA, NASCAR, soccer, and golf. They even offer esports gear for the gamers among us. You can shop by brand, sport, team, or player. And if you sign up for Fan Cash, you get exclusive weekly deals. So head on over to Fanatics.com today. Fanatics is a sponsor of the Main Event Marks and Unhinged Sports Network. The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Now back to the show.
Final ratings time. IMDb gave this 7.4 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 7.51 out of 10. I actually gave it 8 out of 10. It wasn't amazing, but it was historic, and I really liked it. What say you?
I gave it an A-. I just thought this was like, it was historic. It was enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Even if some stuff was bad, I was into it. I don't need a pay-per-view to have like all 5-star matches to give it a high rating, honestly. So I loved it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the best King of the Rings I've ever seen off the top of my head. I can't think of a one that was like, a million times better or anything like that. I mean, there were other, obviously, historic King of the Ring shows that we'll talk about in the future. Our first show ever, by the way, our first podcast ever was on King of the Ring 1998, which, by the way, featured Undertaker versus Mankind again.
Seemed to be a theme.
Yeah, and this one, it was just a match, and it was great. On that one, it was Hell in a Cell, and it was, it was historic, I'll say that. And everybody kind of knows that. But, yeah, go back in the archives and check out our very first ever show, King of the Ring 1998. We've come a long way since then, but, I think we should continue the tradition every June covering at least one or two King of the Rings. But now that is done and wrapped up, our bonus show drops this Friday, man. It's WCW Great American Bash 2000. Anything you want to say about that one?
I've watched it already, and no.
The less said, the better.
Man. There's something that happens on there that's pretty good. I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing that I'm saying, hey, one thing's good, but...
Yeah. There's that one thing, and then the rest of the show's sucked ass. But yeah, so that's coming up this Friday for our bonus show of June. And this is a 5 Wednesday month, so we have 6 shows, including the bonus, this month. So June 30th, our final show this month, it is TNA Slammiversary 2013. And this is Sting versus Bully Ray for the TNA World Title.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I read about him on that fire-breathing Twitter machine. It was a last chance, no holds barred match, by the way, between those two. And if Sting loses, he can never challenge for the TNA title ever again, bro. Never again, bro.
Let's see how that works.
We also have a last knockout standing match between Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim, which is better than it sounds. We got Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles. And, yeah, just a lot of stuff going on in the show. 2 matches for the TNA television title. And who else is on the show, Greg, is the future Dexter Lumis.
Oh,
He's on the gut check final to qualify for the 2013 Bound for Glory series. It's Jay Bradley versus Sam Shaw, who, like I said, would go on to be Dexter Lumis.
And he's not stalking a woman this time either, so.
Wow. But anyway, that is next week. Like I said, join us this Friday for the bonus show. Again, we are sponsored by Fubo TV and Fanatics. Links are down in the podcast description. And you can catch us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central on the unhinged sn.airtime.pro free internet radio. And please subscribe and review if you are listening on the podcast feed. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you this Friday with Great American Bash 2000, bro.